Good evening. It is 7:17 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, October 6, 2022. Looking back at how the trading plan for today went, or the trading plans, plural, they went. And I'm going to say it was kind of a tough day because a lot of things didn't work out. It didn't happen. We've had some really good days where some of these plans just work out beautifully, especially if you're patient and wait for them. But in this case, there were definitely opportunities, but it didn't really, some of these ideas didn't come to fruition. We had an inside day, and that was sort of the idea, but we never got to the value area low. We never got to the low of the day. We never got to the high of the day. We didn't get to the overnight high. We did get to the value area high, so that does play into one of our plans, and let's talk about how that went. So I've got the profile chart right here. You can see we opened right here at about 80.5 or 80.75. Can't really tell. I think 80.5. And the way it traded, I'm pulling a minute bar chart here. Okay, it's just minute. No way, that's a tick chart. They kind of look the same actually. There's 1 minute chart, and where do we open? Let me back up here. Right here. Okay, so let me get the crosshairs on it. That's important. All right, this is important because this plays into future plans that come up. All right, so we opened this right here, and it came down to here. Well, just over the time, it worked its way up. Now, because we talk about buying or selling the value area high, and then what happens when we get the overnight high, prior high day, there are often many inflection points along the way. So there are opportunities, but I can't make a scenario for every situation. Because this could have been a place to sell. But at the same time, the idea in selling the value area high was that we developed value and we moved to it later. We were up there, and let's see, we got to the value area high in exactly 10 minutes. Pretty quick, and you can see on the 1 minute how we just blasted right through it. In this 1 minute, it came right through it. Now, there was very quickly an opportunity to get long against it, and that was where one of our plans worked out. So let me make this a little bigger. You can see a little better. Right here. Now, that's 1 minute. It doesn't look like much. Let me pull it in on the other chart. You can see how this looks on the tick chart. Right here. This might have given you a better opportunity. This is why I look at different charts. You can see right here how we again blasted right through it. So if somebody went short against this, well, it was very, very early to go short against it. I talk about. Hang on, it's a little tricky to move all these windows around and keep them on top, and they get on top of each other. So we want to develop value in the value area before later move to the value area high. Now that doesn't mean it won't work for a short, it just means it's a lot more risky. Okay, and that's exactly what happened. It just plowed right through it. So it plowed right through it, but then the idea was to buy the value area high. That worked out. Right? So this worked out partially. I mean, not everything in here worked out. We didn't get to sell the value area high, but we got to buy it. So that if someone was ready and knowing that we didn't get our conditions met really to sell it with good odds, doesn't mean it wouldn't have worked. Maybe you're going to buy it, right? With the possible move up to the overnight high and prior high day, because these were, we basically had a weak high from the prior high day because it was so close to the poor high and the overnight high. So exponentially, this all works together to be like, we're probably coming back through here. It didn't happen today. We didn't get through it. Now this purple line was a VPOC from a couple days ago or something. Anyway, this would have been a nice trade for, let's say 802 up to, if you knew this reference was here, 808, let's say. Well, it doesn't matter. That's 6 points. I mean, you could take a nice little chunk out of this, and it moved pretty rapidly through here. So there you go. That's one plan that worked out. But let's see here. We didn't get to prairie dog the high or low. Now selling the value area high. Okay, when we come back in it, how did that work out? Well, we did come back through it, and there was an opportunity to sell it right here. And if someone was to sell it right here, might have been stopped out, depending on what your risk is. That's a little steep for me. So there's sort of a fake out if somebody was to sell it. You might have been able to take a chunk, but once it came off pretty rapidly, right? So depending on your strategies, this might have worked. Okay, so it's another one that might have worked for somebody. Okay, I don't need to have this check mark so big. So sell the value area high was one that would have worked. Move this here. Okay. Now, didn't get to the higher low. So then, taking out the overnight high day, then the prior high day, this never happened. Take out the prior low day, this didn't happen. Take out the prior low day with continuation, this didn't happen. So one of our clues in getting short into the value area high was the fact that we never, when we came back down so strongly, we never took out any of these swing highs and up here, right? This didn't come out. We didn't get up here, and it came off very strongly. Now, would you have shorted it on a stop entry, or was there a move down, a reason to get short on down here and try it? Sure, maybe. I just showed you some floor trader trades that might have worked, looking at different couple kinds of charts that might have been how to get into it. But that was an opportunity to get short. Personally, I'm not, I wouldn't have stayed short all day long like this. But that was a nice move down because B period came all the way down. And there's a lot of potential if someone was to get short and stay short. All the way down here through the overnight low. Okay? So, C period, again, we never got down to the value area low of yesterday, which is all the way down here. I had a pivot point, and I had to sort of draw the value area on it just to remind myself because it's hidden behind here. We never got down there. But in the early morning, or like mid-morning, there were opportunities to have a back in the overnight and C period. But I didn't write that down per se. I was looking at more a back in on the higher low of the day. But those references are valid. And here I was looking more towards a back end. Right here I put careful fake out, breakout, possibly short prior high of day or overnight high back into range. Well, the opposite is true too. We're down here and we're coming back into the overnight area. There might have been an opportunity to get long in C period, which would have been a nice trade. All the way back up. Didn't get to the value area high or anything. But anyway, if you have strategies for getting in on something like that, we could look at it on the minute chart or the tick chart. A tick is handy. Let's just look at the tick. So we came all the way down here. All right, I'm going to just fast forward here a little bit. See, this is why I try to scroll, but the scroll is too slow. Okay, so B period came all the way down to here. I want to verify this because I don't want to miss this. B period came down to 37.60. C period got down to 37.58. So let's just make sure we're looking at apples to apples here. Okay, it must have come back down again. Yeah. All right, came down to 58. Came back in the overnight low. Let's see what it will look like. Yeah, it was one of those where if you would have just gotten in, because it came back in, you might have been chopped up pretty bad, right? Actually, it didn't take a lot of heat here. but it's spent a bunch of time. With the tick chart, it's hard to say how much time it spent. I think it spent a lot of time. Let me look at the minute chart here. And I'm just going over potential entries. You can check out of the video if you like. All right, here we go. Oh no, not too much. Came back in the overnight low. Yeah, it kind of was actually it's pretty fast move in there, but on the tick chart, it sure looks like, well, you got to realize once it comes back in, each one of these is 1 minute. So 1, 2, 3, 4, that's almost a 5-minute period. Might seem like a long time if you just got in because it came back in, and you never really got a pullback to the overnight low again. Now you did in the overnight value area low. You can see a nice little pullback to it that would have made for a nice entry. Sometimes you gotta, I mentioned it in the video, sometimes you might have to take a couple shots to get it right. It can be tricky, right? But that would be a nice long. And I wrote this for the upside with the overnight high and the prior high day, but we had the back end to a range of the overnight low. So I'm calling this one as, this one worked, but I didn't write it on here. So, but this worked. So you have to do, when I'm making these, it's early in the morning. I'm kind of trying to scratch them out in a timely manner, and to write all these down and just to do them inversely for every situation. Like this was easy. To buy the value area low, sell the value area high, or sell the value area low and buy the value area high. That's easy to do a inversion on it, but to write all this out just doesn't happen. You kind of have to use your head if you're looking at any of these things to help with your ideas. But again, I have to restate, I make these videos for myself. I need to have confidence in what I see, and also to recognize, doing this day in, day out, that a lot of these things take time to set up. So it's, patience is something that at some point in my life, when you pray to have more patience, then all of a sudden you're always meeting things that causing you to test your patience, to stretch you, right? Well, trading, patience, because I guess so many emotions run high, it just becomes, and time gets warped a bit, things just seem, you have that sense of immediacy for things to happen, and you really kind of need to get over fear of missing out. And I'm speaking to myself. I'm not saying you need to. I need to. When I have a fear of missing out, I tend to get hurry, and a lot of times these things take a good part of the day to come to fruition, or to morph into a different situation, which is more the trade of the day. But anyway, that's what happened today, and hope you made a great day yourself. And I found the trading was, I ended okay, but boy, I gave back a lot initially. I had a pretty good day, then I gave a lot back, then I made it back, and then I gave a bunch back, and it was because the price action was just really, one thing I want to point out is that today was a normal day, right? And a normal day, we didn't extend beyond the initial balance. We only extended on one side, okay? A period, it was excess there. And we only extended by a little bit. This is probably more than 85% of the range, the initial balance. That's a normal day. Basically, the message there, and you can tell by the price action and some of the ways it played with references, it was daytime traders in control. There was very little other time frame, bigger money type of situations going on, it seemed. Doesn't mean they weren't there. It just, they didn't push past the initial balance much and all that. And that can make for some weird price action sometimes, especially when you get used to days where they're having an extended range. We had a lot of normal variation days where that basically means that the initial balance is about half of the total range. So it extends beyond the initial balance, roughly doubles the initial balance. It's 100% extension. All right, so make a great evening, and not sure if I'll see you tomorrow or not. I've got some things to prepare for, an appointment and whatnot, and but I do like to do these whether I'm going to be in front of the desk or not. So it's a routine that's very helpful, and we'll see. All right, make a great day, evening, sleep well.